might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today is Monday, February 5th, 2024. It is currently 7:30 a.m. A little late this morning, but it has been a crazy, crazy weekend. But I am happy to have you here with me for the Coffee and Kata morning show. If you do not know who I am your host. I am Tech Coach Ralph, where we are engineered to win. Just like it says right here. There we go. Engineered to win. All right. So we're going to get into our news stories, and then we're going to get into what we're transitioning to. We're going to be talking about Flutter, mobile app development. It's a alternative to React Native. A lot of people use React Native to build their web, their Android app, and their iOS app. But I heard Flutter is the new wave, so want to get into that. So we're gonna go, and I've been already working on it, but I wanted to say, let's repurpose the morning a bit to learn Flutter together. And I'm still going to be working on it outside of the morning show, but you can also see what I'm doing, what I'm going through, and how I'm learning. And I'm doing it in a test-driven development methodology, so it's going to be fun all around. All right, so let me just do this real quick. Let me set this up. All right. Another thing that I'm working on is getting another PC to be able to stream from and to work on this computer, because I think sometimes the amount of processing power that it takes to do this technical stuff as well as stream can be a bit daunting. So I have some equipment coming in today. Going to try to set that up, figure all that out, but hopefully that is going to be a very good enhancement. So we'll see. We shall see. I'm going to be figuring it out this week. And once that setup is done, I will certainly let you know, and you can give me some feedback on it. Because sometimes I see the video starts to get a little bit choppy once we're using too much processing power. I don't know. And it's I felt it getting a little bit choppy this morning when we didn't even do anything yet. So we'll figure it out. But to be fair, though, I also have tons of tabs open from yesterday's stream trying to figure out that last bit of Terraform with the certificate. We're right there, but I might actually stay on a little bit longer because I have a little bit extra time this morning. So we might do an after hours where we go into trying to figure out this Terraform thing. So we shall see. We shall see. All right. But let's get into our news stories. If you haven't done so yet, go ahead and like the video, share the video, leave me a comment, interact with me in the chat. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can know every time we go live. And of course, if you need one-on-one coaching, which you do, you need it. But go ahead and check out the Patreon at www.techcoachralph.dev, where you can get access to exclusive content that I reserve for my Patreon members, as well as sign up for one-on-one coaching. And if you want to support the channel, feel free to hit the join button to become a member of the channel. You can become a tech mercenary. All right. You get custom emojis and awesome some other cool stuff. And I'm always looking to enhance and do stuff like that. Right. So definitely check it out. Thank you for all of your support. But let's jump into our news stories for the week. All right. Let's do it like this. All right. So, first news story that we're going to be getting into is the numbers to watch. The numbers to watch this week. All right. So let's put our timer up as well. Let's throw 5 minutes. Probably go a little bit. I am all out of it today. 5 minutes. Okay. So numbers to watch for the week. The state of the U.S. labor market may remain center stage this week after multiple job reports presented a mixed picture. After initial jobless filings last week, all eyes will be on the Labor Department's new jobless claims day data out Thursday. So we're looking forward to Thursday, folks. All right. A spike in layoff announcements and a report showing a decline in number of Americans voluntarily quitting their jobs also suggests dwindling professional prospects. However, last Friday, January payrolls report blew past economist expectations, showing continued resilience in the market. It's also likely to push back prospects for interest rate cuts by the Federal Reserve. So let's look up the date. So today, Monday, February 5th, Institute for Supply Management will release monthly purchasing managers index, which tracks if the non-manufacturing sector is expanding. All right, so we're looking out for numbers today. Then Thursday, February 8th, the U.S. Department of Labor will release initial jobless claims for the previous week. The report, a proxy for layoffs, tracks the number of people filing for unemployment benefits. So these two dates coming up this week. It is I guess it's the second or the first full week of February, but the second week because last week February 1st was on. I believe it was on Thursday, so it was only 3 days of February last week. So this is the first full week of February. All right. So we're looking out for these two dates. The numbers from the Institute for Supply Management to release the Purchasing Managers Index, and then the U.S. Labor Department to release the initial jobless claims for the previous week. All right. We'll keep an eye out for that. Now let's jump into our next one. Right. It says Jerome Powell, the Fed chair. Federal Reserve Chair says likely no rate cut in March. So don't expect an interest rate cut in March. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell said on CBS's 60 Minutes Sunday. In a TV interview taped last Thursday, Powell said the Fed needs more time to confirm that inflation is moving down to 2% in a sustainable way. He added that officials are wary of holding rates high long enough to trigger a slowdown. However, and most are in favor of cutting this year. We're trying to pick the right time, Powell said. The Fed kept the benchmark federal funds rate unchanged at its meeting last week, and Friday's strong job report dimmed hopes of an imminent cut. All right. So interest rates are still high on the rise. Or they're not on the rise. They're not being cut, right? So I mean, it's not bad news, but it's not like great news. But who knows? Maybe I don't know. I'm not too familiar with the interest rate, but I don't like paying a lot of interest on stuff anyway. So I don't know. Let's move on to the next article. It says fast food prices to rise with wages. So for all the people who are fighting and begging for minimum wage hikes, the price that they pay for food is also going up. So major chains including McDonald's, Chipotle, and Jack in the Box plan to raise menu prices to cope with the higher labor costs in California. Shout out to California. The Wall Street Journal reports, with the state hiking its minimum wage for fast food workers in April to $20 an hour from $16, which is already egregious at 16, but whatever. A McDonald's franchisee group says the added burden comes to 250,000 per restaurant per year. California's always getting it right. An industry consulting firm estimates that every dollar in an hourly wages necessitates a 2% increase in prices. The birthplace of McDonald's and In-N-Out count about 900,000 people employed in the industry. Chipotle has already raised prices multiple times in recent years. McDonald's is set to report fourth quarter and fiscal 2023 results on Monday, which would be today, I believe. All right. So let's read this real quick. Good for workers. How about consumers? Fast food burgers. But guess what? I'm pretty sure the workers are also the consumers. So fast food burgers and fries are about to get costlier in California, with the minimum wage for workers set to rise to $20 an hour in April. For every $1 in wages that go up, a restaurant has to increase prices by 2% without other offsets. California already has some of the highest prices for burgers, pizza in the country. And that is Heather Haddon, restaurant reporter at the Wall Street Journal. And keep in mind, right, there's also going to be layoffs of these because because remember, especially like with McDonald's and like these type of fast food chains, right? They're not owned under like, it's not like they don't belong to like there's franchise owners, right? So they have their individual prices and goals. So if they can't afford it, they're gonna let you go. So a lot of times people protest their ways right out of a job, right? So let's get to this next one real quick. It says young people struggle to buy homes. So the dream of home ownership for some young Americans is fading due to sharply higher mortgage rates. Mortgages, elevated home prices, and limited inventory. Many first-time buyers also face the hurdle of saving for down payment while improving their credit. And trust me, a lot of young folks totally destroy their credit. I don't know why we do that, because I know I did when I was a kid, or when I not was a kid, but when I was like young, right? Um, I messed up my credit, but I was able to fix it eventually. However, with mortgage rates finally dipping, Redfin chief economist Daryl Fairweather advises first-time buyers to invest some money in an index fund to take advantage of a strong stock market. Recent Zillow data shows that the typical home buyer in the United States is taking 9 years to save up for the median down payment on a home of median value per CNN. And if they're trying to take those FSA loans, is that FSA? Yeah, FSA loans, then FHA loans. Yeah, FHA loans, then you're putting down like 3.5%, which means that you just have a lot more to pay back. So the situation is tough for renters too, with rent barely coming down from record highs and half of tenants saying they can't even afford their payment. So let's say you're paying so much money in rent and you want to save money to buy a home. How do you even do that, right? That is a great conundrum to figure out. All right. So now the last article before we get talking about Flutter and stuff like that. All right. So the last one says layoff talk rises along with profits. What in the world is going on here? There's profits and layoffs? What kind of offset is that? All right. So what else is rising? Along with hiring in the US, mention of job cuts, layoffs, and other synonyms are being referred to more on earning calls than at any time since the second quarter of 2020. Bloomberg reports, citing a transcript analysis of S&P 1500 composite index firms. The tech industry alone accounts for more than 30,000 layoffs this year. By this year, do they mean in 2024 or 2023 or fiscal year? What does this mean? Because 30,000. Oh, second. Hold on. I gotta see this real quick. Let's see what this is talking about here. So let's see. Latest layoffs, firms making cuts. As the year begun, 85% of workers said they feared being laid off in 2024. These concerns were borne out in January, with job cuts accelerating to their highest clip since March 2023. And tech and media among the hardest hit sectors. While pandemic overhiring contributed to many of last year's workforce reductions, investor pressure and the pivot toward artificial intelligence appear to be driving this year's layoffs. Layoffs making headlines. A video conferencing company, Zoom, cuts roughly 150 jobs this week, or less than 2% of its workforce. Radio broadcast company Audacity is laying off 12 employees. Wait, 12 employees makes up 25% of its staff. The company is currently seeking bankruptcy. Oct is letting go 7%, around 400. Dutch Bank is laying off 3,500 employees. News site The Messenger shut down abruptly in late January with roughly 300 staffers. Were not offered severance, or that sucks. That really sucks. But if you're broke, you're broke, right? Nasdaq plans to cut hundreds of jobs as it begins integrating software firm Adenza. TechCrunch has shut down its paid subscription, TC Plus, and laid off eight staff. Okay, so where is this? Block has begun laying off workers after announcing cuts last year. CoinDesk writes the layoff could affect up to 10% of the fintech company's 13. So that's about 1,300. PayPal is cutting 9% of its staff, will affect 2,500. Wall Street Journal is restructuring its Washington bureau, laying off some people. Axios, okay. American Airlines, how did they get to 656 in particular, right? Customer and baggage resolution employees. UPS is laying off 12. Okay, there it goes. So that's the big one right there. 12,000 employees. Freight forwarder Flexport is cutting about 500. 99. 350 from Roomba. Microsoft 9. Okay, so here's another 2,000. Yeah, that's a lot. That is a lot. I didn't see this the other day. eBay is laying off 1,000. Yeah, I can see it getting up there to. Oh, there we go. Right here. Here's another big one. Macy's is Oh, wait, Wayfair, cutting 1,600 jobs. Macy's 2,300. Could estimate up to 2,400. Any other big numbers in here? Universal Music Group will lay off hundreds of jobs. Citigroup is eliminating 20,000 jobs. Okay, there goes the 30,000 right there. I mean, more than 30,000, but Citigroup is eliminating 30,000 jobs, or 20,000 jobs in order to cut costs by $2.5 billion. Okay. So yeah, I see that. I see that now. So that makes sense. Sucks, right? Sucks. One reason is the soaring profits at companies including Meta and Amazon, each which preside over tens of thousands of cuts last year, suggested that growth can persist even with a smaller workforce. Yeah, you also have people take on more responsibility, and there's less people to pay. So yeah, I can see the growth happening. And with overhiring and stuff like that, it's bound to happen. So workers displaced by big tech may be quickly finding work in other industries, a likely scenario as payroll surpasses expectations in recent months. Although layoffs were widespread in 2023 and reflected over exuberant hiring amid the pandemic, the New York Times noted this year's cuts have been smaller, targeted job trims, unless you're Citigroup, right? Aimed at pulling resources to priorities such as artificial intelligence. All right, cool. So that is our news stories for this morning. Okay, so let me know what you thought about that. If you have any, let me know your thoughts about that, especially on the layoffs one on the rise, along with profits rising as well. That's an interesting dynamic, interesting perspective. But at the end of the day, it is all about the stakeholders and the shareholders being happy and stuff like that. So they control everything. So it is what it is. So hopefully if you're in fear of being laid off, or if you have been affected by a layoff, be prepared, always studying. Like you can't like don't get caught off guard, right? Always be ready. Always be ready for whatever it is to come. Ready to pivot, ready to know what your next move is and things like that. All right. So let's get talking about Flutter real quick. Okay. So the app that I'm building, right? So here's the backstory. Let me see, what can we do right now? I'll put a 20-minute on the clock, right? And then we'll talk about that. We can get into looking at the code a little bit, and then we'll figure out where we go from there, right? But I had let me close this out because I think this thing is also slowing down the computer as well. Let's close that. And let's close this. Okay, so I was watching this video, right? And the guy was breaking down about how to know if something is keto or not, like from keto diet. And he was reinforcing the point that true keto is 20% protein and 80% like fat, right? For the most part, somewhere in that range, right? So it's really like 20 to 30% protein and 70 to 80% fat, right? So he was sharing the formula on how to calculate, because when you look at the label, right, it'll tell you. Let's see if we can do this real quick. We can share this real quick, right? So let's see. Let's see if we can find one. It'd be easier to just show it. Let's see. All right, so let's say we were to look at this label real quick, right? So this, right? So when you look at the total calories, right, and you look at how much fat is in it, how much protein is in it. I'm not gonna really talk about the carbs right now, but how do you know how much? How do you know how much calories in this serving size that you're getting from fat, and how much calories you're getting from protein, and how much calories you're getting from carbs, right? So he broke down the formula of that. It's like, but even when he was breaking down the formula, he was like a little fumbling over it, right? But so I looked it up, right, and to see, okay, so the question is how many calories are in 1 gram of fat, and how many calories are in 1 gram of protein, how many calories are in one gram of carbohydrates, right? So what I did was I found the formula, and it's pretty much, what is it? 4 grams of protein, or 4 calories in 1 gram of protein, right? So for instance, this would be 11 times 4 would give you 44. There's 44 calories from carbs per serving out of these 240 calories, and then, or 44 calories from protein in these 240 calories, right? And then, I think it was I think it's 9, right? I have a formula made for it, right? But I think it's 9 calories from fat per gram, right? So this would be like 9 times 4 would be 36 per serving, right? And then that means all the other ones are coming from carbs, right? So, anyways, what I did was whenever I'm doing some type of calculator, because like I did the time cost calculator, I built it out in Excel first. And then I'm like, all right, now we're going to build it into an application. So I said, all right, I want it to be a mobile app because I want to be like when I'm out and about, right? I want to be able to start using it. So let me see something real quick. Yeah, I want to be able to start using it. I want to be able to like to at least on V1 be able to start inputting the numbers in and stuff like that, and it tells me okay, is this keto or not, right? And what I can do, I can pull up the formula that I created in Excel or Google Sheets. And while that's pulling up, I am going to share in the chat because I will be doing a presentation on QA tonight in the Grammar Hub Discord. So if you are interested in tuning in for that, I would highly recommend you joining that Discord and tuning in for the presentation. Let me see. Paste that in there. Yeah, it's a very good Discord as well. They do a bunch of like every Monday they have a meeting and they help you out with a bunch of stuff, like with interview prep, resume review, different presentations and stuff like that. So I would highly recommend you tune into that. You sign up for that Discord and go out there and learn and network with people. Right? Really cool stuff. But anyways, let's go to. Let me zoom in on this somehow. Let's go to. Let's do one more. 200 maybe. Okay, so let's say we do. So user input, and then the purple one is the calculation input or the calculation output. All right, so let's say we say this has 7 grams of grams per serving, so 7 grams of this, and the fat is there's 14. Oops. Right. So it does this calculation, and it's telling you that you're gonna get total calories. If you're having 3 servings, right, you're gonna get 780 calories total, and it's gonna be 100. Let me see. Total calories. So this is per serving. So the total protein you're gonna get is let me see. Let me see. Calories from protein. So 27% is going to be from protein, and 72 is going to be from fat. Total fat. Let me see. Total fat protein. G2. So this one I'm not 100% sure, but that's pretty much the concept of I have to double check the calculator, but this is pretty much the concept of the app that we're building. So that's what the idea is, to like let you know if it falls within the range of 20 to 30% protein and 70 to 80% fat, then it's going to say yes, and if not, it'll say no. So like here, if we have like, then it'll tell you no, that is not keto friendly. Okay, so that's the idea of it. Same thing, similar to the time cost calculator. So that is the app that I am going to be using to build Flutter. And as we come across new productive tools and stuff like that, we will build them and stuff like that. So that's how I come up with different ideas of stuff to do. Right. So let's do this. Let me open Hopefully it doesn't really slow down the computer too badly, but let me open or what I'm using is Android Studio, which I could have used IntelliJ, but with Android Studio, you're able to get start the emulators and stuff like that in there. So, and I can just what we'll do today, I'll just show you like what I did so far. So using Flutter, you also do it with the language that you're using is Dart, and so that's the coding language called Dart, and I can just show you some of the code that I've written so far. Right? Let me close this up. All right. So, like I said, we're gonna be doing this in TDD format. So, and like I always say, like having the right tests in place are always it's so essential, right? To have start off with your unit tests. So I have my unit test written in a test driven format where what I did was I write the test first, and I'm following as best as I can. I'm following the idea and concept given by amongst others, but Robert T. Martin, where I write a failing test as soon as it fails. So failure to compile is a failing test, right? So let's say, for instance, when I started this, I say, all right, so this is in the Dart language. It looks very similar to Java, right? But I say, okay, I wrote this test, right? And I say, so first, before anything, right? I say import this package, and the package can't be found. So now I have to create it, right? I have to create the Dart class keto underscore formula, right? Let me see if I can zoom in a bit. Not sure. How you doing again? Oops. Okay, there we go. So, all right. So I write this and I say, so import the package, right? And then import the test one as well. And I say, okay, final keto formula equals keto formula, right? So it's going to be equal to this. But this did not exist. So when I try to run it, it fails. And then I say, okay, so now let me create this class. I run it, it passes. All right, so now we're on to the next step. So I set this variable and I say, now my expectation is which this changed a little bit, right? But I said, so the test is total amount of protein calories should be calculated correctly. So I'm saying I'm passing 14 grams of protein, and it should give me a result of 56, right? So, and that would be, so what I have here is saying, so let's ignore this for now because I added this the other day, but this is the part, right? So I said, return. So when you're passing in the parameter of this right here, the total gram of protein, which is 14, it's going to multiply that by 4, and that should give you your result of 56, right? So I wrote this first, right? I wrote this before ever putting this in, or before ever writing this code right here. So when I run it, it fails. So we'll do a quick example, right? Can't do it right like that. But so I can't do it right now because like once we add, because then it'll mess up a bunch of other stuff. But what happens is, and as we add more tests to it, like on Wednesday, then you'll have a better understanding of like what I mean by writing the test for it to fail. And then and then once it fails, then we add to make it pass. So the idea is, you write a test that fails, then you write the code that's going to make the test pass, right? And then once the test passed, then you can move on, you refactor. So fail, pass, refactor, fail, pass, refactor, fail, pass, refactor. And a lot of people, they don't like to go this route because they feel that it slows them down. But I think that it makes your application so much stronger because if you if you write a test and it fails, right? And then you get it to pass. Now, let's say down the road, you make some other change and you break something that you were unaware of. Running all your tests over again should let you know, hey, you broke something, and all you have to do is undo right at that point, right? A lot of times, like we say, oh, let's write all the code first, and then we write our tests, and then right now we're writing our tests to be in favor of our code as opposed to writing our code to be in favor of our tests, right? And that way you get a much better structure all around. So that's my idea. That's why I'm doing it this way instead of build a whole bunch of like build, no testing, no unit tests, no QA and stuff like that, and then you crash and burn, which is it's going to go along with what I was mentioning, what the topic of the candid conversation is going to be today at noon, right? So definitely, you definitely want to tune in for that. But that's what we're doing here, right? So then the same thing done for the total amount of fat, protein, calories should be calculated correctly. And I honestly don't need. Actually, I'll leave that. But so then it's you passing in like we did the same thing. So now when we go to this, we add that it passes because this already exists because we had to create that for the first test, right? So now we move on. We say okay, total grams of fat per serving. So you say so now in the test we're passing 21. Okay, and now we say our expected result is for 21 grams of, so it's by 9. So for 21 grams of fat per serving, then that should equal to 189, right? So what we have to do is we say, okay, what's the formula to get to 189? So when we say, all right, we pass it in, this is returning the total grams of fat times 9, and 21 times 9 is 189. So when you first put this in here, it's gonna fail, and then you write the code for it to pass, and then now it passes, and so forth. Like, so that's what we did pretty much for all of these, right? And then with the formula being prepared, and with with our test saying, okay, we have our formula set, right? So we don't have to worry about our formula anymore. So now let's run it real quick, right? If we go to here, we run. And now we have all of our tests passing, right? So let's get an example of why it's important to write these tests first. So let's say we are coding and, we, for some reason, we get over here and we do this. So we change it to 8 by mistake, or maybe not by mistake, right? And now we run it again. And now we have 2 failing tests. And so we look at our results and say, okay, so the expected result was 189. We actually got 168. And on this one, the expected result was 351. We actually got 312. Right? So, why is that? Houston, we have a problem. So what do we do? So before you ever go, in my idea, the way I see it at least, right? Before you ever go and you make any change in here, because we changed one from 9 to 8, right? And it gave us 2 failing tests. So before you ever go and you make changes in this code over here, right? If like it has to match what the tests are. So if the formula is changing, right? So let's say it's actually okay, we got it wrong. It was actually 8 um 8 calories in a gram of fat. Then we need to go back into our test and say, okay, it's actually going to be 8, right? So this would be 21 times 8. So that would be like 168, right? And then the other test that failed was to verify the total amount of, so that okay, so this would be 21 of fat and uh so if we do the math, it would be 1 56 or 56 plus 168. So where's the calculator? So 224. All right. That doesn't sound right. Oh, times okay, so times total amount of serving. So for total amount of servings entered by user, total amount of protein per
Lunch
serving.
break. Lunch break.
Okay, so this is the wrong. So this is the total amount of protein. So when we want is fat, right? Total amount of fat. So this would be 13 times 8. So 13 times 8, 104 times 3. So 312. All right. So then you would update your test results first, right? And then now you say the formula is actually supposed to be 8. So now when you run it again, then all your tests pass, right? Because that way you have to take control of your you have to make sure your tests are updated before you go and you start making changes to the code, because you should know what your expected results are. Because if you don't know what your expected results are, how are you going to be building what you don't know what your expectations are, right? So that is the so that's the concept behind it. And let me this thing is hold on, trying to get rid of these. Okay. So yeah, that's the idea of like the test driven development. Of to be in a like the way that they should work, the way that they should pass, and then you build your code around it to get it to pass. All right. So that is what we are going to be working on in the morning moving forward. And that way, like you get your mind rolling, like the same way we used to do the challenges. But I just want to, I want more time to work on this, and I want to be able to build it out, see like so you guys can join me on the journey and to get my mind rolling around it. And yeah, and then you can also get some any input insight from you as well. But yeah, so let me change this back right to the right formula. But so we're gonna change this back to 9, and we're gonna change our numbers here back to what they should be, right? And then we're gonna run our test again, and everything should pass. All right. So and then so the next thing that I want to do, I pretty much have like the formula working, right? So the next thing that we're gonna do is in our like the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna start building out the actual layout, the material layout on the app, right? So that's gonna be on Wednesday, and we'll go from there, right? So that's gonna be Wednesday. We're going to actually start writing our test for the layout, and then when we run it, it's gonna pop up in the emulator, and we're gonna go step by step by step by step. We're not going to like be skipping steps. I mean, like I said, I'm gonna be working on it even offline, right? But I'll explain to you like I explained this morning what I've been doing so far. But you'll see me write a test and then have it fail, and then we're going to write the code to make the test pass. So for instance, in the layout, there's going to be a title of on the app, right? A title on top. So we'll say, all right, let's load the layout, right? And we're gonna press run. All these tests that you see here are gonna pass, but the test for the actual application, it's going to fail because we haven't written the code yet for the layout. So then we're gonna write the code for the layout. It says, okay, start up a material app, and then we run it, it's going to pass, and you're going to see something pop up showing like a little Android looking emulator, right? And then it's okay, cool. Now that passes. Now we're going to write the test to say, make sure the title shows, right? And then we're going to press play, and it's going to fail because the title is not going to be there. Okay. And then once that's done, we're going to write the code for the title to be there, and then we're going to press play, and then the title is going to show up, right? So that's going to be like, that's going to be the cycle. And then once we see opportunities to refactor, we're going to refactor and make the code better. You always want to refactor to make the code better, right? So that's the idea. That's the concept behind it. Okay. This phone is about to make some noise in just a second. Let me turn this on. Okay, cool. Yeah. So that's what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna be doing development in the morning. Development in the morning. How does that sound to you, right? I think that sounds great to me. Making the most use of our time, always being productive, and getting this in before we start our workday. That is the purpose of Coffee and Kata. Always getting better, always 1% better, right? So that's it, right? Let me go back to full screen. And let me know what you think. If you think this is a good idea, if you are interested in, especially if you're like in software development, quality assurance stuff like that, I think this is a good thing to follow along to see how I'm going to be writing my unit test the way that I think, because like I develop, but I'm not a software engineer by default, right? I'm a QA engineer by default, so the way that I might approach it might have a slightly different variation, but we shall see, right? Because we're always looking to get better. We're always looking to win. Okay, so that is the show for this morning, the Coffee and Kata. But like I said, I have a little bit extra time, so I'm gonna stay on a little bit longer. So feel free to tune in with me. We can call this the Coffee and Kata after hours, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue working on this Terraform thing a little bit to see like if I can get this very last step of it to work, right? So let me wrap up the show, right? And then we shall continue. I'm going to wrap up the show, then I'll come back and I will continue working on the Terraform stuff, and you are more than welcome to join me and see what I'm working on, what I'm struggling with, and just learn with me, right? Learn with me. So this is a continuation of yesterday's show. So let's do this. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Coffee and Kata show. I really, really appreciate you for being here. I appreciate all your support. We have our candid conversation coming out at noon today, right? So definitely want to tune in for that. We're going to be talking about like what exactly is a startup, and pretty much why, in my opinion, so many quote unquote startups fail, right? Because we shall see. Let me know what you think about that. And we have an episode, or we have a clip of Q&A coming out at 3 today, and then tomorrow night we're going live where we are going to do our Q&A session. Okay, so that is the plan for today. So just want to thank everyone for tuning in. I really, really appreciate you. But like I said, we're going to do a little bit of after hours right now. Feel free to drop me a message in the chat, leave a comment, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can know every time we go live. Check out the Patreon at www.techcoachralph.dev, where you can sign up for one-on-one coaching with yours truly, Tech Coach Ralph. And you can get access to exclusive content. And if you want to support the channel in any additional way, feel free to join and become a member, a tech mercenary on the channel. Okay, so that being said, let me transition to this transition, right? All right, so yesterday we were working on Terraform, and I really want to move this whole project, like the Terraform in AWS. We were thinking about moving to another provider, but it's like sometimes like the way that we have everything set up, to transition to another provider, we have to go through a bunch of headache, and modify the code and stuff like that, which I don't feel like doing it, right? So we're gonna stick with AWS, but I want to do it in Terraform, right? And I have 99% of the way there in Terraform. There's one little part, right, that I'm still fighting to get through, and that part is the certificate, right? And it's not the certificate. The certificate is working perfectly fine. The problem is the load balancer. When I set up the Terraform to create the Elastic Beanstalk, it should, from my understanding, create a application load balancer by default. However, it is creating a classic load balancer, which I don't understand why, because the classic load balancer should be deprecated from my understanding, but it's doing that by default. I'm like, what gives, right? So that's what I've been like. I was fighting last night to figure that out, and it was annoying, right? Yesterday, it was such a busy day. I had a few meetings and had Scrum Night with the Tech Barbarians, which was amazing. But this thing has been annoying me since like last week, right? So we're gonna figure it out eventually, right? But I'm gonna spend a little bit more time, maybe another 15, 20 minutes this morning on it to see what we can do. So let me, and I'll show you how many browsers I ended up having, how many tabs I ended up having open, trying to figure this thing out, right? So let me close this out. And all right, so let's do this. All right, we're gonna go to. So if I just drag this down a little bit, see all those tabs that I have open? Try to get this one thing. I have like a bunch of AWS tabs open. I have a bunch of Terraform tabs open. I have a bunch of GitHub tabs open, right? But it's all good. We are going to figure that out. So let's go to here. Let me log back into AWS so I can see what's going on. But the certificate is working perfectly fine. The like I said, the only issue that I am facing right now is getting the classic. Like I just needed to go to an application load balancer instead of a classic load balancer. So that's the part that I am trying to get to work. So let me get my code in here. The thing that I love about Terraform though is after you have all the code written, you can just do a Terraform apply, Terraform destroy. Have you seen? So, and if you have not tuned in to the Sunday show where we're working on Terraform, this is a good opportunity for you to get some exposure to what we do on that show. Right? It's not. I mean, everything involves QA, but it's not as heavy QA focused. We're building infrastructure and we're doing it using code, right? And that's why I'm really excited about this and to go into the full DevOps course, right? But for me, at least, because I use Terraform at work, it was really important for me. And there was a project that I wanted to do doing Terraform, so it's really important for me to do that. But then we're gonna go full on DevOps as well, so that we can continue to learn and continue to grow. All right. So with that being said, let me open back up our IDE for opening up WebStorm so that we can work on that. All right. So and by the way, what we were able to do last night in our Scrum Night, which I'll drop a link in the chat, is the application that we're building, inspired by David Goggins. When he says, if you have poopy pants, we are building a little poopy pants app where you can get some quotes and stuff like that. So what we were able to deploy last night was getting it to be a very nice mobile responsive layout, which you were able to see on the stream yesterday, as well as adding our Google Analytics tracking code to it. So I put the link in the chat. Feel free to check it out. And we are working on the UI UX as well as adding a bunch of other features, right? So I have a whole I'm telling you, the way that I run it. If you're looking to build experience in the like tech field to transition in tech, whether you're learning software development, software engineering, whether you are learning front end development, back end development, whatever the case may be, QA. What I'm doing is I'm trying to give you the opportunity to actually build experience, and I keep the spots really really limited because I can't manage a bunch of people, right? But if you're trying to get experience, maybe becoming a tech barbarian is a good opportunity for you. I have someone as well who is interested. Like they're still trying to figure it out, right? But it's like, oh, maybe Scrum Master might be a good position. So yesterday, they're like, I think it was their second or third Scrum meeting with us. I'm like, okay, you can take on the first part of the meeting, running the sprint review, right? And they did an amazing job. Their very first time, we just spoke about it like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I helped them to run the sprint review, and they're going to take on more and more. So many good opportunities out there for you to build that real experience that you need, because a lot of times they put you in these fake internships. You're not really building anything new, and this is just a great opportunity for you to do that. All right, so just throwing that out there. Check out the Patreon at www.techcoachrob.dev for you to level up and get the experience that you need and the skills that you need. All right, so with that being said, all right, so let's go to all right. So this is a Terraform code, right? And the part so look at that. Look at my guy. Good
guy.
Welcome, good guy. So would it just be David Goggins quotes in the app? So this is a great question. So this is my idea behind it, right? This particular app, right, is gonna be David Goggins quotes, right? But the database itself, when we have because we're building out a database with a bunch of different quotes, right? You could build we could easily take the same concept of the front end part and then just filter and say, okay, so for instance, let's say, I don't know, give me a person. Let's say we want quotes from good guy, right? We can just say, all right, let's have this application called the good guy quotes. And then it would use the same database, but it would filter quotes that are from good guy. And then so now you have one database, but you have a bunch of different apps that can be running that can give you quotes. And then you can also have an application that has like all types of quotes from everyone, right? So that's my concept behind building it that way. Where this one in particular would be based on David Goggins quotes, but then you can easily take that and do it on other ones, right? So yeah. All right. So we have somebody else in the chat. What's going on? The good bruz. Shout out to you. Says, what's going on, brother? I just got in. I didn't know you were live. I have so many questions. I just caught wind of your channel searching for guidance. Awesome. Hit me up anytime. There's so many ways you can hit me up, right? You can go, I'll drop the link in the chat where this is one option. I'll put a couple options, right? Oh, it just put in there. Speaking of, right, it just put in there. So there's the connect.techcoachrob.dev. And you can also reach me. I'll just drop my email address in the chat as well. You can catch me there as well and ask me anything, and I'll be sure to respond to your email, right? But I would love to talk to you. So, but yeah, so good guy, what do you think about that though, right? Like it's being able to have a bunch of different apps with quotes, as well as having one main app with quotes, and also making that database, like that API, not that, but an API, where if someone wants to build their own quotes app, they can tap into that API as well, right? So I don't know. Let me know what you think, good guy. Just different thoughts out there. Okay, cool. So yeah, thank you so much for stopping by the good bros. So happy to see you here. So happy to hear from you. Definitely appreciate you being here, right? And you know what? I'm gonna throw in one of these.
I appreciate you.
All right. So yeah, like I'm actually going a little bit longer than I normally do on the morning shows, but yeah, I'm live on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 7:15 a.m. We try to wrap it up around 8, but I have a little bit extra time today. So I was like, all right, let me look into this Terraform thing a little bit. So what I'm gonna do a Terraform apply, and everything's gonna get created, right? And what I'm gonna do is, well, the my number one goal for this is to get the elastic the elastic beanstalk to create to use the application load balancer, right? I'm just not 100% sure yet how to get it to do that, which to me it should do it by default, but apparently it's not. So whatever, right? So let's do that. All right, so I'm gonna do Terraform, Terraform apply. Let's see what happens. Hopefully I don't get any errors here. And the reason that I know that it is supposed to the reason that I know that it's supposed to be an application load balancer is because that when I'm looking at the one that I did manually, it has an application load balancer, but when it sets it up via Terraform, it has a classic load balancer, which it's like I don't know about. I'm not too familiar with the classic. I'm not really familiar with any load balancers, but um, but I know that it's going to work with the application load balancer because that's how it's currently working when I set it up manually. All right. So we are going to say yes here. And this is just a preview of what we do on the Sunday streams. All right. So, and while that's happening, the good bruz said, thank you. I won't miss another live. I'll make sure I send you an email. Awesome. I'll be looking out for your email. And the schedule for the I mean, I don't know if you won't miss another live because I go live a lot. Like almost like the only day that I don't have scheduled to go live is Saturdays, and sometimes I do, right? But whenever you're able to tune in, I'll be so happy to have you here because I like Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I'm live in the morning. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm live at night, and then Sundays, I'm live in the afternoon. So, and what like anytime you see me live, feel free to drop by, ask a question, whatever the case may be, right? I am here to help you in whatever it is that you need. All right. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. All right. So let's do this. All right. So it's going, what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch over to AWS so that you can see what is going on. So while and that's the thing that I love about Terraform, right? While it's doing its thing, you actually see it being provisioned in AWS, right? So this right now, right? February 5th, today, right? So you see that it's pending, it's being built, all of that good stuff, right? And doing this, so it's taken us a while to build this up in Terraform, but only because that we are only doing it on Sundays and we are going like, step by step. I'm explaining everything like that. But if I was to like just sit down and put this together without like having to explain it and anything like that, it'll probably take me maybe 2 or 3 hours, right? And maybe if that, right? And this is for someone who's being new to Terraform. But the way that like as you, like, if you know this, like it's going to be a lot faster for you and everything like that. Because now, like when we first started, we're going very slow. As we keep doing it, we're getting a lot faster, right? Doing this manually, like so if we were to do this manually, right, we'd have to go to Elastic Beanstalk and do something there. We have to go to Code Pipeline and do something there. We'd have to go to the Raw 53 and do something there. We'd have to go to the Certificate Manager and do something there, right? And so many different, so that's at least 4 services in oh, don't forget, I think S3 as well, right? So many different services that you have to go through to do all these things where if you know how to do it manually, which is important to know how to do it manually, you can also you could like it's like they're building off of each other, right? What you're doing in like what you know how to do in AWS, you need to be able to do it in Terraform, right? What you do in Terraform, you find out how to do it in AWS, right? So it's building upon one another. So it's really cool. I love seeing this thing, right? So now as it's building it's all right. So Terraform is done, right? So we see here now it went from pending to okay. So now if we switch back over here and we see that it's done, right? And then if we take this URL and we go to here. So I took the URL that was outputted from Elastic Beanstalk and we go here. Oh, okay. Well, no, it should. Okay, so right now it's loading this. It's not because we still have to go through the deployment process for like connecting to GitHub and stuff like that. But that's not the important part right now. What's more important is going here and seeing. Click on here, and we go to configuration. And if this says classic, then I'm just gonna tear it. Like this see that part right here. That's the part that's bothering me. Right? That's the part that's bothering me because it should say because if we look at our other one, this one, and we go to configuration, it says application, right? And that's what I want. I want it to be application, not classic. So that's what we're working on, right? That's what we're working on. So if I go back over here, public, load balancer type, classic. Right. So that's the annoying part. That's what we're researching, right? So let's continue to research. Follow me along as I research. I need to add an emoticon over here, but I'll do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a story in the Jira backlog that my Tick Barbarians are using, and we will have that as part of a sprint where we'll add an emoticon, right? So I mean, it's software development, taking them along the journey, right? So let me see what the good bruz said. He says, "Oh, where is it? I'm trying to change my life. The PM roles have been stomping me out, and I'm asking I may need to try something different. I had to go back and fall on my CDLs until I can get back into tech." All right. So by PM, are you saying project manager, product manager? And yeah, like definitely something we could talk about. I would love to hear like what aspects of tech you're interested in and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, the different roles in tech, they can be a bit daunting if it doesn't fit your personality type and stuff like that. So yeah, we can definitely talk about that and figure and see where it can go. Right. So definitely, yeah, send me the email. I'll be looking out for the email. Would love to talk to you and hear more about you. All right. So thank you so much for that. All right. So let's do. All right. So let's do this. I think we might. So let's do some research first. Because this is driving me crazy, right? So Terraform, um, Elastic Beanstalk. Let me just try application load balancer, right? Let's see what we get with that. Because it should be. I mean, I don't know. What's this? It's not that. I think it's something super simple that I'm missing. Let's see what this site says, right? And I'm just looking around, to be honest with you, right? I'm just searching. So it says, if you want to scale instances, align a load balancer in front of them, host a website, and store all data in the database. Nothing could be better than Amazon Elastic Beanstalk, which provides a common platform. With Elastic Beanstalk, you can quickly deploy and manage applications in AWS Cloud without having to worry about the infrastructure. Okay, which is true. I like that. In this video, we'll learn how to set it up using Terraform on AWS step by step. Okay, so let's go to. So the part that we're going to be looking for is the part of the load balancer. I just want to see have an example of how they do the load balancer. Let me see. And see if they're see, I don't see load balancer in here. And if they're doing their load balancing with classic, then it's becomes useless to us, right? So deploying Terraform configuration allows that. Okay. Let's see. See, I don't see anything in here about load balancing. See, they mention load balancing in the only thing you need to do is Beanstalk's upload code, and the rest is scaling. Load balancing will take care. See, it's going to take care of it by itself. But why is it creating see what I mean? Let's see. We say defaulting to classic load balance. Let's see. So Elastic Beanstalk, which, from my understanding, when your application load balancer configures it by default to perform the same core. So why is it not doing it as? So what's the proper way to configure an AWS Elastic Beanstalk application load balancer default listener using Terraform, right? So we have so they have this. So they did this, right? They have dynamic load balancer settings. Oh, what is this? I didn't do this. Resource environment template. Dynamic. Well, I don't even know this is right, but 'cause they're asking a question about it. So dynamic setting for each var listener. Port 80, 80, 80. Protocol. Dynamic. Protocol. Resource. Elastic Beanstalk environment. configuration template. The end result of the state file contains these and only entries. When I download the save configuration for comparison, if I configure the environment manually, we get default.aws.elbv2 listener true, listener enabled, true, direct default process. I can't figure out how to get Terraform to create the above configuration for the default listener. Okay, so I mean that sounds similar to what we're going through, but guess what? Nobody answered. Um, I would also put interesting. Well, that's interesting. Let's see. So let's do that. Let's take their advice and let's go to here. And let's go to what this is. Let's look at this one. Output. Template maybe. All right. So we look at this. If we so right now we're looking at CloudFormation. Not sure what we're gonna get from here, but I don't think this is the one that we're looking for. I think this is the one we need. Can we get a better format? Output resources. Template. Ooh, that is tough to read. Let's see. Review and designer. Infrastructure as code generator. That's interesting. Let's see if we do that. Not sure which is which here. Let's see. I don't think it's this. I think it's this one. Update. So this is. Yeah, I think it's this one actually. Okay. Let me search for LB. There's a lot of code right here. This is the new one. Mm. So if we look at load balancer here, so let's see if this exists in the other one, right? Just doing a little bit of comparing. So that does not exist there, right? AWS EBV2 load balancer. Let's see. I think I have an idea of what I need to do, actually. It looks like we're going to have, which I kind of have it in the code, right? But I was reluctant to do it. But if we go over to, we're gonna wrap it up after that. But I have an idea now, right? So if we look over here where I have it commented out, I'm setting up the load balancers here with the certificate and stuff. Now the thing I have to figure out is how do I pass this into the, now how do I pass that into here? Right. So that's going to be something for me to figure out. But, you know, that is where we're at, right? So I'm going to wrap it up now. Thank you guys for hanging out with me for a little bit extra time on this Monday morning. It was fun. You guys got to learn a little bit more about test-driven development, about Flutter, go through our news stories, and to hang out with me on a little bit of morning after hours where we were continuing what we were exploring yesterday because I really, really want to figure this out so that we can move on. All right. So I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you for tuning in. We have the Candid Conversation coming out at noon today. Definitely tune in for that. And we're going live tomorrow night, Q&A. Would love to talk to you, answer your questions. You can feel free to call in as well. So that's the plan. So once again, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can know every time we go live. If you need one-on-one coaching, go ahead and go over to www.techcoachralph.dev where you can sign up to get one-on-one coaching as well as access to exclusive content in my Patreon. And if you want to show a little bit additional support for the channel, feel free to become a tech mercenary by clicking on the join button to join the channel. All right. But until next time, until tomorrow night, until I see you live again, you guys have a wonderful Monday and a even more wonderful week. All right. So I am out. I am Tech Coach Ralph, Engineer to Win, and I am signing off.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts. Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again. Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.